Four furniture caster wheels. Not sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but in this video, you're going to find out. Okay, this is what I've decided to do. As you can see, I've cut them off. I cut through with a hacksaw, so it held this thing in a vise. Just to grab the wheel. So I held it in a vise like that, cut through the thing, and then, as you can see, there's a hole. I used the hammer and I punched the centerpiece out. So you've just got a whole load of wheels with a hole. This is the plan. I'm going to make a little camera trolley, and with a body and a couple of axles. So I'm going to bolt these to the axles, so it can not only go in a straight line but go around a corner. Okay, on to the next bit. Okay, so what I've done is I've sorted out four nuts and bolts. So these are countersunk, so they will happily go into the hole just there and stay clear of the wheel, and I'll be able to get a screwdriver in. That's not a problem. Now, you're probably thinking, yeah, why don't I just get an old toy car and just stick a camera mount to it? Yes, I could do that, but this means that I can not only go around corners, I can go traverse and stuff, and do all sorts of hopefully wonderful stuff and make it more flexible. So to make the axles, because I want to, you've got two axles, you want to sort of have them the same angle. What I've got is I've got this piece of plywood, and I've got a protractor in this a geometry set that I bought, and I've printed it through the copier a couple of times. So what I'm going to do, I've got some glue, and then cut these out, glue them down to the board, and then I'm going to form around an axle. The idea is that I have a protractor. I'm going to have going to cut it close to these circumference there, and then I've got somewhere a mark, so I can either have them straight or can put them at the same angle. So two axles, I can angle them at the same angle, and yeah, be able to do wonderful things. So next, glue these down to the board. Okay, so they've glued down all nice, so it's on this piece of 3mm ply. And now the plan is, and what happens is you've got the center point of the angle there. That's where it's going to pivot. And what you want is to make sure that when you screw that down, at some point, you get that axle there for the wheel, and same for the wheel the other side, is in line with that, so that it will just pivot around. That's what you want the thing to do. Now what I have is some of this wood, which is a bit of pine I got when we got a new washing machine. There's a couple of pieces within the packing. So instead of it being wasted, we'll put it to good use. So we'll what I'm probably going to do is sort of arrange that somewhere like so, so these wheels can then be bolted through, and the bolts are long enough to go through the wood and the ply. So I've just got to sort of basically sort out this bit of wood on the axle, screw the wheels on, get everything in line. I'll probably have to put another piece of wood there, make it all line up, and then drill a hole. I have to probably use my press, so get straight enough hole. So yeah, next I'll be sorting this out, and I'll show you the sort of finished axle. Okay, so I've made the first axle. Whoops, finger over the camera lens. Basically what I've done is I've cut out a piece of wood, which for the length. I've also made a little lap joint. The idea being that when the goes on the for here's one example I've made, so that the wheel, and it's still the axle goes over the center line, but I've actually had to do a lap joint. Now I did think in hindsight I should have got a wider piece of wood, would have made it easier, but anyway, that's hindsight for you. So I made a lap joint, that's going to be stuck on there. But beforehand I did stick a nail just through the whole centre hole, so that I knew where it was. And then I basically glued it all on with this stuff, Gorilla Glue, which is pretty hard, pretty strong stuff. I've had it for a few years. And then I bolted it down in 4 places with the bolts that I'm using for the wheels. So obviously the wheel will go, one wheel there, one wheel at the end. Now the reason for this hole, I've decided to put the hole in, so when it's all glued up, I'm going to flip this thing over so I demonstrate. I still have a hole just there, so I can drill through, and I know where the centre hole is. And the same, I think it's over there. Yep, that's so far. So next you'll see the complete axle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out, leaving the protractor. We also had to, before I glued this on, I did have to get the this and cut the mark the outline and cut it out. So I show in a picture. Yeah, so next you'll see the axle. Okay, so it's all glued up, all finished. I've removed the nuts and bolts. Drilled the hole in the centre using that thing where I poked a hole. I'm going to use this, which is a carriage bolt, because it's got a little square thing, so push it down and it gets stuck, and there's a wing nut the other side when I build it to the main frame, and then end up with something like that. One completed axle. Get the other finished, and then we start building the main frame. Okay guys, so I've got the thing on the tripod. There's a new tripod I bought, and it is complete. The dolly. So I'll just flip it over and see how I'll show you how I made the main frame. To explain. So basically, what I did was I cut this kind of like piece of plywood on a sort of like a bone shape. And what I did was I basically drew a line about 20 centimeters, about 200 mil wide. Then I drilled a centre hole into, was it 25? I'm not sure. I drilled 2 end holes, a centre hole. The centre hole is obviously for the camera mount. So I drilled a hole for the camera to go through. So I'll just screw that on. So that's just a GoPro mount, just to demonstrate. And I basically glued it onto a piece of wood. I used 3 sort of like metal screws to screw it in while the glue went off. I used the same Gorilla Glue. Basically then took the screws out, and I was able to then drill the appropriate size holes, 2 for the carriage bolt, 2 for the and 1 for the camera mount. Now I've drilled some others, and I'll explain that later. That's basically so I can actually move the camera closer to the end. Now if you look in the end, I try to neaten it up by sort of cutting them at an angle. This carriage bolt I had to cut down because the carriage bolts were long, both carriage bolts. I cut this one a bit too short, so I put this little step in it here. And the idea is that the camera mounts closer to the end, then when going forward, it's away from the bolt. And I can even get the mount closer to the end so that the bolt's not run away. You've got the centre line, and I've put the protractors on the inside so that I can basically line the protractors up with those lines just there. So I said it will go around a corner, so let me demonstrate what can be done. So we basically loosen that. Let's give it 20 degrees, for example. Tighten that up, and we do the same the other side. Give it, let's say, 20 degrees. Tighten it up, and then we've got something that can go around a corner. You can adjust it to any angle you like. You could even use a cosine of a fulcrum point and be able to get it going around a particular point. So that's how we can do it. So I suppose to finish off this video, let's do some nice video footage. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed that video. Thanks guys, please like, subscribe, and till the next time, next video I do how this thing is going to work out with this pandemic. I know restrictions are being loosened off, so don't know about whether they're happening in your region of the world, but all the best, and until the next vlog, thanks guys.